Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and a healthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire. It's been a long time since I've been up here and it feels really good to be back. And today I've got for you a little village that's quite rural. You can tell it's rural because if you look at the road, you can see little lumps of mud all over it. And that's due to tractors coming up and down this road. And this one long road is basically this village, although at one end of it, namely that end, there's something else to see as well, and there's also a former airfield here as well, so there's a few things to see in the parish of Spaldington. Welcome to Spaldington in the East Riding of Yorkshire, lying approximately 3 miles north from the market town of Howden and 14 miles south of York. It lies to the west of the A614 road. The parish lies in the Vale of York, east of the River Derwent, approximately halfway between Howden and Holme on Spalding Moor. The land is predominantly agricultural in use, with the exception of Boothferry Golf Club. The land is at an altitude of around 5 metres above sea level. The village of Spaldington is the only significant place of habitation in the parish, excluding farms. According to the 2011 census, Spaldington had a population of 185, an increase on the 2001 census figure of 171. The name is recorded in the Domesday Book in 1086 as Spellinton, and the name may refer to a river named Spalding, derived from the Old English Spald, meaning ditch or fenland river, which also gives its name to Spalding Moor. The River Spalding is not recorded, but it would be the river that's now known as the River Foulness. The name may also be derived from the tribe known as the Spalda, mentioned in the 7th century Tribal Hidage, which gave rise to the tribe or district known as the Spaldingas, the dwellers by the Spald. If that explanation is correct, Spald could refer to some other fenland river or rivers. The Spaldingas also gave their name to the town of Spalding in Lincolnshire. Spaldington, or Spellington, was listed as being in the manor of Wrestle in the Domesday Book of 1086 as well. In terms of property these days, Spaldington is generally very residential, save for a few farms both in and around the village. There used to be a church or a chapel dating to as early as 1650 here, which existed until at least 1850, but had been demolished by 1890. A Wesleyan chapel, also used as a school, was built in the village in 1820, which has now been turned into a house. What few properties there are in the village go on the market for an average of £496,000. This is certainly not a cheap place to live. It's just as well then that the village, like most places in Howdenshire, ranks highly in the list of the most affluent areas of the East Riding. The small population is made up of 98.4% white British citizens, with just 3 people in 2019 identifying as anything else. With an area of 14.34 square kilometres, this gives Spaldington a population density of 11.99, one of the smallest in the entire East Riding. As part of the parish council's determination to promote the parish and get parishioners and visitors to see all of the parish when COVID rules allow, the council have been made aware of 2 wonderful walks you can take around Spaldington. These are the Spaldington Strider and the Spaldington Stroll, the latter of which uses part of the Howden 20 walking route. The Howden 20 is what's called a challenge walk, and as the name suggests, it's 20 miles in distance and is meant to be walked in a single effort. The route, which begins in Howden, visits Howdendyke, Asselby, Wrestle, Brayton, Thubwith, Spaldington and Bryn before finishing back in Howden. So no exception to any other village we've seen like this in the past. The house behind me, that white house there, is the blacksmith's house. I seem to remember talking about one of those in Hemswell in West Lindsey. So yeah, it's a quite common thing to see a village like this having an old blacksmith. Okay, now what I was talking about at this end of the village, we're about to go and have a look at. At this western extent of the village is the road between Spaldington and Willetoft. You might think if you drive up here there isn't much to see, but back in the 1800s there most certainly was. There was a mill called Spaldington Mill, which was a corn mill on this very road, which existed in 1850 but had been demolished by 1890, leaving the mill house. In the 20th century the mill house was removed and the site was levelled and the field boundaries removed by the 1970s. In around 1200, Eustace de Vesci and William Fitzpeter were joint lords of the manor, and after de Vesci's death the manorship passed to Fitzpeter and then to his sister, to her eldest daughter who had married Peter de la Haye, and then to the Vavasours by the marriage of Isabella de la Haye to John Vavasour. Father of John Vavasour died 1506. Spaldington Hall, an Elizabethan building, was the seat of the Vavasour family. In 1838 the hall was demolished, and by 1850 Hall Farm, or Old Hall Farm, had been built on top of it. This is where Old Hall Farm now stands, and it's quite different to what would have been here back in the 1800s. Whilst the hall is now gone, there are still some traces of its existence. The most notable of these is the lodge along the road towards the golf course. So Spaldington doesn't really have much more than just houses and farms really. There aren't any amenities, there's no church, there's no shops, there's nothing of any note apart from houses and farms. But that doesn't mean it hasn't got some things to look at, but the thing is, most of them are within the parish boundaries but not actually within the village. And to go and have a look at what I'm talking about, we need to go over that direction because there's a golf course and a former airfield. Now, I'm not sure if I can get anywhere near the former airfield because it's now a wind farm, but I'll do my level best. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the camera on the dashboard and we'll drive down towards those areas. Along the parish's southern boundary you'll come to Howden Golf and Footgolf and Boothferry Golf Club. Footgolf is a sport played by kicking a football with a mixture of power and precision into a 52cm hole, with the person who takes the fewest shots overall being the winner. The original golf part of this establishment is a recently refurbished 20-bay floodlit driving range. Boothferry Golf Club was designed by a legendary modern-day golf course architect, Donald Steele, and is one of the most enjoyable meadowland courses in all of Yorkshire, popular with many visiting golfers, featuring natural dikes that occasionally provide additional challenges on a number of holes. This whole area stands astride a road which is narrow with plenty of passing places. The airship station that was mentioned in the Howden episode was in Spaldington. RNAS Howden was built in the southern part of this parish in the early 20th century, opening in 1916 and closing in 1930. In 2009, 2 planning applications were submitted for wind farms here. One came from Voxwind, who applied to build 7 2.3 megawatt turbines on Spaldington Common, but the application was refused in 2010. However, 5 2.3 megawatt wind turbines measuring 126 metres were built west of the village here on Spaldington Airfield. Well, not bad. I can't get right into the airfield obviously because it's private land any further than here. But not bad. I think I managed to capture the idea of it at least. It's now a wind farm and there are a few businesses down there as well. And that's pretty much it for the parish of Spaldington. There isn't really much to show you, but what is left to show you will come at you in the picture bit, and that's coming right now. realise from here at the airfield you get a cracking shot of Drax power station from here through this little gap. Might not be very clear at this distance for you guys, but certainly I can see it, and it looks like it's very busy today. Lots of smoke coming out of those cooling towers, burning all those wood pellets. Okay, time for me to move on to my next one in the East Riding of Yorkshire, which is not too far away. All I've got to do is drive that way down this road back towards Howden and take a right turn. That's a clue as to what's coming next. But for now, this has been the very small and very delightful parish of Spaldington, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.